Reducing the amount of waste that a company generates has a number of benefits. Firstly, it can save money and it can make a business more efficient in how it uses materials. The second benefit is that it reduces the amount of waste that needlessly ends up in landfill. Now, when it comes to implementing or improving a waste reduction plan, how does a business get underway? Where can you get the best advice to get started? And how do you ensure that you're going to get the best results? Now, to get some tips and to talk about that, I'm joined by Blake Lindley from Edge Environment and Rob Richardson from Energy Conservation. Blake and Rob, welcome to the programme. Blake, if I can start with you, there's a lot of government support right now for businesses who want to reduce waste and improve their recycling. What's driving the interest from governments at the moment?
Thanks, John. It's an important aspect when dealing with waste to consider a whole-of-life perspective. When you're disposing of a material, it's not just the material itself that you're getting rid of, but it's actually all the inputs that have gone into that. It's the energy used in extraction and the other materials used in its manufacturing and processing and distribution. Recycling is really a means of extending the tenure that material has in the productive economy. It's a way where we can reduce new virgin material being mined, and also a means, allowing it to be reused multiple times. That really, I guess, touches on the principle of the circular economy and why intervention and assistance from the government in this space really can deliver extensive environmental impacts beyond just, waste diversion.
Now, Rob, what kind of assistance is becoming available right now?
Well, as you saw in the case study, John, the New South Wales Environment Protection Authority is running the bin trim program. It's a $20 million program which supports waste assessments and also rebates for equipment. Other states have got programs as well. For example, in Victoria, Sustainability Victoria runs the resource assessment program. South Australia's been a bit of a pioneer with waste, with zero waste now, I think called Green Industries, and they're running assessments for business as well.
Now, how can a business start to reduce waste? What's the best place to start?
Well, it does depend a lot on the industry, but the basic principles are the same. Look at reducing consumption of materials first, looking at reusing materials, and then recycling materials. So really, to start, if you do an assessment of your waste stream, understand what materials you're generating, the quantities you're generating, and that's something that consultants can help you with, or you can do yourself. But remember, there's a lot of assistance out there. There's a lot of information on the internet. There's government programs, as we've mentioned.
Blake, would you like to add to that?
Yeah, I suppose just to say that any waste or recycling initiative really is a behavioural change project. And that's the way it should be considered. I think it can grow in a grassroots manner from employees in an organisation, or it can be pushed from a top-down management approach. In our bin trim experience in delivering that, we certainly came across situations where businesses were not or were reticent to implement what we'd suggested to them, thinking it might be a little bit too difficult, a little bit too hard, too much time for their employees. But in almost all cases, I think we were able to really bring them round on that, and I think they certainly left, or finished our program realising that there was, a very viable economic case to doing this, more time or less time, not permitting.
Rob, you mentioned the bin trim rebate before for recycling equipment. Can you give us some examples of how that's been applied?
Yeah, we've successfully applied for several bin trim rebates for our bin trim clients, and some of the examples include balers. We saw with the Good Guys how they were baling up plastic and cardboard. That's a very effective piece of equipment because it can you can have the recycler collect baled material for free, or they may even actually pay you some money
to collect it. So you're
compressing it. It makes the whole transport efficiency a lot better, and so therefore the recyclers will collect it for free or may pay something for it. Other cases, you can apply for source separation bins, very useful in an office situation, improving office recycling. And then there's also equipment that enables businesses to reuse a material. For example, a golf course we worked with bought a chipper, and fallen timber that had previously been going off in general waste was fed into that chipper and used on the chip material used on garden beds. In another case, there's a casting business that's looking at putting in vibration equipment which can break down sand moulds, which are previously going to general waste, refine them back to sand and reuse them for cast. So that can save them a lot of money, and both in material costs and in reduced waste collection costs.
And Blake, you were involved in that office strip out that we saw earlier at Governor Macquarie Tower. What did that involve?
Edge Environment's been working with the Better Buildings Partnership and Sydney's largest property owners for around 2 years now, focusing on diverting waste from office refurbishment. In Sydney, every year there's around 400,000 square metres of office space which is refurbished, and nationally I'd estimate it to be well in excess of 1 million square metres a year. Collectively, that might be in excess of 100,000 tonnes annually going into landfill from these projects. Edge Environment's role has really been under the Circulate program run by the New South Wales EPA. We've been inserted there to basically assist with the construction of BBP's guidelines on this topic, and also facilitate better engagement with industry, contractors to maximise recycling solutions from these projects.
And Rob, we often hear about waste reduction. We don't hear so much about how it saves money. How can waste reduction save a business money?
Well, a lot of businesses don't realise that the cost of recycling collection is generally cheaper than the cost of collecting general waste. It's particularly the case here in New South Wales with increasing waste levies, but paper and cardboard has been cheaper to collect than general waste in most situations for a long time. Here in Sydney, containers are generally cheaper to collect than general waste as well. I saw some rates recently for 240 litre bins in the city, and it was $12 for a general waste bin, $8.50 for container waste, and $5 for paper and cardboard. So if you look at that sort of ratio, you can see it's just cheaper to collect recycled material. And then, as I've mentioned earlier, if you can reuse a material, that reduces your input costs, and you're going to save a lot again. With the aid of the bin trim rebate, some of these examples are getting a payback on their investment within 18 months or less.
Very quick answer if I can, Blake, 'cause we're running out of time. In the context of the building strip out that you did and the waste side of things, is there a financial incentive there?
Absolutely. As Rob just mentioned, I think almost all recycling services are going to be cheaper than general waste, and in the materials we're dealing with, specifically glass, plasterboard, etc., they're very dense and exorbitant landfill costs if they end up going that route. So certainly a very strong financial incentive to recycle these products from building strip out.
Well, Blake and Rob, thanks for joining us. Thanks for sharing that.
No problem. Thanks.
Thank you very much.